The reason Alex Meyers defends Bear is because Alex Meyers is Bear. Hi, my name is Emily, and for those who don't know, I have a degree in forensic psychology and a background in law enforcement. This helps me provide unique insight on some of the world's most famous cases, movies, events, and more. I would be remiss if I did not give my 2 cents, or at least my observations surrounding the Alex Meyers obsession controversy. For those who don't know, Alex Meyers is a YouTuber. I was unfamiliar with him until this happened, so I don't really have a bias towards him one way or the other. I'm just looking at the facts and calling it like I see it. And quite frankly, the reason Alex Meyers defends Bear so much is because Alex Meyers sees himself in Bear. Now, what I want to do before I really address that particular statement is go through some of the words that he uses and the sentences he uses throughout his video, because I am a firm believer that the words people choose and the way they communicate really is an insight into somebody's psyche. Now, the first sentence that really alarmed me was when Alex basically just says, hey, Bear is a socially awkward loser who just happens to have a crush on a girl. Now, this is minimizing language. He is framing Bear as somebody that you should almost pity and feel sorry for. Oh, he's just a socially awkward loser. Like, you should feel sorry for him. He just has a crush on a girl. And at the end of the day, if that was really all that the movie was, we wouldn't be having this conversation. However, that is not the case. Bear very much is not just a socially awkward loser. He turns out and progresses into a very awful, monstrous human being. Then there's the scene where Nikki gets intimate for the first time with Bear. They're like kissing, and then she freaks out and is like, holy shit, what am I doing? And he's like, oh my God, what's happening? Alex says, well, in his opinion, in Bear's opinion, everything is above board because she's on MDMA. And that automatically should make anybody pause, because it's taught at a very early age that anybody who is under the influence of a substance cannot physically, mentally, emotionally, properly consent to being intimate with another individual. And Alex, who is a grown-ass adult, is sitting there really, in a way, pointing the finger at Nikki, saying, oh, well, if she didn't want it, she wouldn't have kissed him, even though she's on MDMA. Then we have to look at the way that he has apologized about all of this, and he uses words such as, well, apparently what? Apparently I have to make this clear that I don't condone rape. Well, yes, because you didn't really address any of the sexual assault, and you made excuses for Bear and his behavior, i.e. saying, well, Nikki was on MDMA. And then making statements like, oh, I guess my jokes were too jokey. Again, not taking any of this seriously. The reason that people have such a problem is because Alex had so many opportunities to completely avoid this situation. This never should have happened, except he completely stands by what he said. And the reason he stands by what he said is because this is an individual who has to watch the movie, write the scripts, read the scripts, record the scripts, animate the videos, edit the videos. There are so many opportunities throughout the production process where at any point in time he could have changed the rhetoric that he was using, except he didn't. And the entire video comes off as him mansplaining why women don't understand Bear, why Bear actually really isn't that bad of a guy, etc. As if the metaphor isn't in your face with the main protagonist, the guy that is doing all the horrible shit, being named Bear. Let us not forget the man versus bear metaphor and how women will absolutely choose the bear. So let's revisit the statement that the reason Alex Meyers defends Bear is because Alex Meyers is Bear. This is an individual who does not see anything wrong with what he did. He is not taking accountability. In fact, he's quite afraid of accountability. And you can see that in the way that he writes his apologies. He does not actually give a shit. And part of the reason he doesn't actually think he did anything wrong is because if you look at just his channel layout in general, there is so much rhetoric surrounding women where it's condescending, it's demeaning, it's belittling, and at the end of the day, he's really just making fun of women. All you have to do, and all I really did to pick up on this, was look at the way that he creates his thumbnails and the titles that are used in the videos. They are almost always done in a way that is condescending, demeaning, and making fun of movies that draw a predominantly female audience, or movies that are centered on female concepts, or movies, shows, whatever it may be, that star a female actress. And the rhetoric surrounding it is that she's stupid, she doesn't know what she's doing, she's awkward and weird, I don't understand her, and really othering language surrounding women. And at the end of the day, when you look at Alex's behavior and the way that he portrays himself, and this very apparent persona that, oh, I'm this great guy, everybody likes me, I secretly hate women, blah, 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 blah. Like, he's almost a mirror image of Bear. Now, that's not to say that Alex is a rapist, but when he looks at Bear and says, oh, well, he's just a socially awkward loser, there's a bit of self-reflection there. Because Alex is also a bit of a socially awkward loser. And some of the characters I feel the most passionate about and the ones that I defend the most are the ones that I relate to. That is natural as a human being. However, you should be concerned about why you specifically relate to Bear so much. It would be one thing if you're like, man, I really wish that I had this girl like me. Oh, wow, he turned out to be a shitbag. I don't really like that character anymore. But to double down time and time and time again and really approach it from a you don't understand him point of view, there's a reason for that. The knock is coming from inside the house. Like, the door is glass. And on top of that, in his video, you can see the mental gymnastics he is doing to try and justify his defense of Bear. And honestly, he likes Bear as a character. But the mental gymnastics he uses is like the comparison of a rom-com and arranging meet cutes to the sexual assault that happened to Nikki. A meet cute and like friends setting up a blind date or something like that is in no way, shape, or form like equatable or equitable to rape. It's not a 1 + 1 = 2 situation. And that is the problem. It's fucking weird. So yes, Alex relates to Bear because Alex is Bear. He is playing himself as the victim in this situation, though. Oh, well, people just don't understand what I was trying to say. I was right, they were wrong, I have to mansplain all this shit to them, etc. Alex is exactly the type of guy that would use the one-wish willow to get something that he wanted. And at the end of the day, that is what it boils down to, and that's why he doesn't actually give a shit about this whole controversy.